Greetings, my greasy zygotes. It's time for another tasteless trial of tripe from the tomb. And today's gruesome gift is a grisly, gaudy, garish gash that makes the bold move of putting suck right in the title. 1990's The Suckling. But it also is affectionately known by the vastly superior title, Sewage Baby. An abhorrent abortion anecdote about a flighty fetus festering in the feculent sewers, who's mutated into a malformed monstrosity thanks to some poorly discarded toxic waste. Oh, how I miss the days of cinema when magical toxic waste could do anything the scriptwriter desired. So take off your pants, put on that gown that leaves your ass completely exposed, hop up on the paper examination table and put your feet into the stirrups as I procure your perplexing prognosis, aka the sleaze docket. We have 13 dead bodies, 1 fully melted body, 1 flushed fetus, 12 cups blood, 4 naked breasts, scalpel to the belly, straight razor to the throat, multiple gunshots to the chest, 1 decapitation by tentacle, repeated claw slashes, tentacolectomy, wine bottle to the skull, fetus monster bear hug, gunshot to the skull, 1 exploding death by electrocution, 1 self-inflicted gunshot to the head, claw impalement lift, tentacle strangulation, text scroll intro, cleavage ogling, gratuitous stuffed animal innocence symbolism, mirror appearing murderer cliche, whole movie is a flashback cliche, topless bloody nurse, gratuitous dildo play, 1 spectacular porn stash, 1 amazing chin dimple, 1 super creaky door, gore-covered coat hanger, 1 punched prostitute, 1 sweet butterfly knife, stop-motion severed hand, stop-motion tentacle, cat jump scare minus the cat. That's actually a first for me. 1 slime-covered monster suit, bad touch orderlies, and violent, forceful womb re-entry. We begin with a text scroll insisting that the events depicted in this film actually happened. A lightning storm is raging outside while a young lady sleeps. A pair of legs are walking around, presumably towards our sleeping gal. They carry an open straight razor with them as they enter the bedroom. Once inside, the person preps a hypodermic needle, injects the girl, and puts the pointy tool into his pocket without the protective cap he literally just removed. He picks up the girl and we get a good look at the stuffed animals in a clunky attempt at showing lost innocence. The woman is wheeled through what appears to be a medical facility, but the staff are a little underdressed.
Hello, nurse.
The woman regains consciousness to find out she's strapped to a gurney, and the doctor begins slicing her open. Oh, thank goodness the obvious dream was just a dream. She heads to the bathroom for some nondescript pills, but when she closes the mirror, there's a stranger behind her who slashes her throat. But it's just another dream. We're really going to do it up like this, huh? She wakes up, again, and is in a hospital, again, but this time she's not being restrained. The camera pans back to a pair of doctors discussing her hyper-REM neurosis, which the younger doctor admits is strange for someone so young. The older doc says she was involved in that brothel massacre that happened about a week ago, and the girl was the only survivor. So I guess 1 week earlier, we see the girl who literally is listed as girl in the credits, and her boyfriend Bill are approaching an old rundown building. Girl is having second thoughts, but Bill convinces her to trust him and stick with the plan. She says that she wants to give birth to the baby and put it up for adoption, and swears that she won't tell anyone that Bill is the father. But Bill insists that she should go in and talk to her. They ring the doorbell, and Bill tells the man who answers that they're there to see Big Mama. Sherman tells them to follow him around back. They pass some skeevy leisure suit who Sherman tells to go on inside and that she's in room 3. We're just gonna play the fucking pronoun game this entire movie, huh? Our young couple is told Big Mama's busy, so it'll be some time. They're led to a waiting room with an annoying farting fan for some reason. Sherman then tells them they'll be next. We cut to another room where a leisure suit is opening a suitcase full of Some questionable anatomically designed plastics I'm probably not allowed to show you here on YouTube. A prostitute named Marnie starts undressing and, you know what? I'm just going to cut this entire sequence. It gets a little, mature. And you know, it remains quite immature now that I think about it. Back in the waiting room, a blonde woman named Candy asks Girl if it's her first time. Bill speaks up for her, but she insists on talking to Girl. She apologizes for not answering the first time, and Candy says she's already had 3 done before and that it's no big deal. Axel tells her to shut up, and Candy tells him to go back to prison. Girl insists that they leave, but Bill tells her to wait. Candy shows a little shoulder and invites Bill to come up and see her sometime. Suddenly the door opens to a John Waters film, and we're introduced to the woman affectionately titled Big Mama. Obviously. She tells Bill he isn't allowed in with the patient, then nods to Axel, who takes him somewhere else. In the kitchenette/operating room, Big Mama pours a glass of Kool-Aid. Girl turns it down, but Big Mama says you never refuse hospitality. She tells Girl that she's making the right decision, but Girl says Big Mama doesn't really care about her, she's just doing it for the money. She insists she won't kill her baby, but then starts feeling sleepy and collapses to the table. Down in the basement, Axel is hitting Bill up for the money while Girl is undergoing the procedure. Big Mama confesses it's the largest second trimester pregnancy she's ever seen. Her assistant, Bertha, takes the fetus to the bathroom and unceremoniously flushes it down the toilet. We cut to the sewers where we see the fetus carried along the wastewater channels. The camera pans up to show a conveniently placed barrel of toxic waste leaking into the storm drain, dripping green sludge all over the fetus, who starts thrashing around and crying. Bertha tells Bill that Girl is sleeping, but is fine, then tells Candy to come in. Down in the sewers, the fetus is getting awfully animated following its chemical bath. Sherman steps into the waiting room to ask about Girl, who's been moved to the couch but is still unconscious. Sherman says they are expected to leave the moment she wakes up. I assume this whole sequence is to show that some time has actually passed. Bertha assures Bill that Girl will be all right and reminds him that Big Mama knows what she's doing. Cut to Big Mama cleaning a gore-covered coat hanger before using it to hang up her coat. Back in the sewers, the fetus is looking a little more monstrous. Its eyes are more defined and its hands have twisted into claws. Suddenly, a spiky talon sprouts from its hand. Girl regains consciousness and demands to know what happened. She begins to sob when she realizes they did the procedure without her consent and tells Bill to get away from her. He gets up and runs into Sherman, who's dealing with a dispute between a prostitute named Tammy and a customer. Sherman tells Tammy to go upstairs, then apologizes to the man, but she comes back with a gun and plugs him 3 times in the chest. Sherman knocks Tammy's block off and picks up the gun. Big Mama comes to see what the noise was and tells Sherman to lock Tammy in her room. Sherman suggests putting the body in the upstairs tub, and Big Mama agrees. The fetus, meanwhile, has grown some nasty-looking fangs as well as a handy-dandy umbilical tentacle. Candy and Bertha are discussing the day's events. Candy's kind of proud of Tammy taking out the John, but thinks Girl was just being overly dramatic. Just then, the fetus has found its voice and screeches like a rusty fiddle, which is heard upstairs. Nobody seems to know what it is, but Candy suggests jiggling the toilet's handle. The seat begins to move when suddenly a tentacle bursts out, wraps around Bertha's neck, and yanks so hard into the bowl her head snaps right off. Candy runs off to tell everyone what happened, but naturally they don't believe her. Girl and Bill walk into the room and say they can't get the back door open. Big Mama tells Axel to go check on Bertha, but he takes his sweet time getting there. Once there, he smells the blood, because I guess a headless corpse needs more investigation. Axel goes back to Big Mama and blames Bertha's death on Candy, but she says if she was going to kill anyone, it would be Axel. Oh, the drama! The two argue and Axel goes in to throttle her, but Big Mama tells him to let her go and shut up. He then asks why Bill and Girl are still there, but they say the doors won't open. Axel starts kicking the shit out of the door, but it won't budge. He grabs a coat rack and smashes out a window, but there's a strange flesh-colored obstruction with an audible heartbeat. And holy shit, is Axel being played by pre-game Grumps Dan Avedon?
That baby is not a baby!
Oh, there's another baby,
That is a jelly bean with a face.
One of the prostitutes tries to push through, but only gets a slime-covered hand for her trouble. Sherman gives Candy a nice shoulder jump scare, and our survivors try to figure out what's going on. Candy says it all started when Girl showed up. Axel confirms even the upstairs windows are blocked, and Sherman checks the phone, but it's dead. Suddenly, Leisure Suit steps out into the room. Oh, good. I was afraid we weren't going to see him anymore. He insists they let him out, but once again, we confirm there's no way out. Someone screams from upstairs, and we find Tammy on a bed trying to avoid the fetus monster's claws and tentacles. She gets lassoed and dragged under the bed. Axel tries kicking the door open, and Sherman shoots the lock. They get there just in time to see Tammy lying dead on the floor and fleshy claws retreating down the sink drain. Axel and Sherman continue to butt heads. Axel insists they take the fight to the monster, but Sherman tells him to cool off. That's when Axel whips out a sweet butterfly knife, but Sherman kicks him through the bedroom door. He drags his unconscious body to a nearby bedroom and puts him on the bed. Downstairs, Bill and Leisure Suit say they need some tools to break down the front door, but Candy just belittles their idea, saying they all deserve to die here. Leisure Suit insists that he gets out because his BMW is parked outside. Sherman opens a toolbox to show they only have a hammer and screwdriver and hands them to Leisure Suit. He insists he's not doing any manual labor, but Sherman yanks him up and throws him to the door. Sherman points out that both deaths happen near the plumbing and suggests they clog up all the drains in the house. He and Bill start jamming up the kitchen sink when they hear some loud skittering above. Suddenly, a tentacle bursts from underneath the sink and starts wrapping up Bill. Sherman cuts him loose with a knife, and we get some crappy stop-motion special effects of the severed tentacle thrashing around on the floor. Back at the door, Leisure Suit is daintily chiseling away, but isn't making much progress. Bill says if they've got any weights and rope, they could rig up a battering ram. They load up a trunk and hang it from the rafters, and Leisure Suit spends his newly acquired free time to proposition Vanessa and Cheryl. Before they can use the battering ram, Axel shows up with a gun and puts a bullet through the rope, telling Sherman to hit him now that he's well armed. Big Mama tells him to drop the gun, and while distracted, Sherman goes for it himself. During the struggle, he smashes a wine bottle over Axel's head and gets the upper hand. Sherman says it'll be a lot easier with Axel dead, but before he can pull the trigger, something smashes through the wall. We see a flash of nasty teeth, and Sherman is pulled inside. Axel grabs the gun and fires randomly at the creature who's moving behind the walls. Once it's quiet, Bill checks on Sherman and says he was shot instead. Axel insists he's going to take the creature out before it gets any bigger and that he's the one in charge now. Candy makes a smart-ass comment about how she's so scared, and Axel puts a bullet through her skull. Leisure Suit says if killing the monster is the only way out, then they should kill it. Axel says all they have to do is find out where it lives. He suggests it likes wet places and needs warmth. What he bases that off of, I don't know, but Bill suggests checking the boiler room. Axel takes Bill, Leisure Suit, and Vanessa down to the basement, and we get a nice Dutch angle of them descending the stairs. Gun in hand, Axel insists Vanessa lead the way. They find the tentacle on the floor, and Bill suggests it's discarded tissue. Axel believes it's proof that it's injured, but Bill isn't so certain. A cat meow from a shelf makes Axel fire several rounds at nothing. Suddenly, the monster pops up and knocks Vanessa to the floor. It disappears into the shadows, and our crew separates. The creature pops out to knock Axel down, and he uses the last of his bullets to shoot into the dark. He and the guys go back upstairs to reload, and Leisure Suit begs for a gun for himself. Axel says no, and Leisure Suit says he's not going back to the basement. That's when Axel tells him that with the creature, at least he has a chance to live, but with him, there's no chance. Back downstairs, he puts a catch pole around his neck. Why they have one of those at an illegal abortion clinic / brothel, I don't know. But he uses it to keep Leisure Suit out in front. A loud squealing screech sends Axel and Leisure Suit in opposite directions. Axel finds the creature hung up on a breaker box and opens fire. Bullets seem useless, so he picks up a pipe and charges. The creature dodges at the last second, and Axel sends the pipe into the breaker box, electrocuting him until he explodes. Girl is upstairs having a flashback dream to replay what we've already seen. Leisure Suit says they're better off with Axel dead, and Bill says they should go back to the battering ram idea. The two guys hoist the trunk up, but it does absolutely nothing to the door. Cheryl is crying over Vanessa, and Big Mama takes her to the kitchen for a drink. Cheryl hears some heavy breathing and says the monster's coming back. She fires several rounds into the closet, and Vanessa's bloody body falls through the door. Whoops! Guess she wasn't dead after all. Cheryl drops to her knees to pray. Back at the front door, Leisure Suit insists someone must know they're in trouble, but Bill says it's been a day and no one's come yet. Bill and Girl keep trying the battering ram, and they actually smash a hole in the door. Leisure Suit pulls some of the boards loose, and they find bloody strips and weird growth around the hole. Leisure Suit says he's going in first, climbs through, and falls into a low-budget fuchsia haunted house room of ropes and curtains. He gets snagged on some of the material and is attacked by the monster. We don't see exactly how he's killed, but we get some more crappy stop motion of Leisure Suit's severed hand crawling around for a while. Cheryl has had enough and immediately puts a bullet through her skull, leaving us with Girl, Bill, and Big Mama. Making the announcement that she raised Axel herself, Big Mama insists on seeing her boy one last time. Bill tries to convince her that he's dead, and she says it doesn't matter. Down in the basement, she makes a lot of fucking noise trying to get a door open, and the monster bursts out of the washing machine. Which makes me wonder how this giant creature is still able to travel through the plumbing. It approaches Mama, and we get a lame off-camera kill. The living room is filled with the sounds of loud scurrying. Bill comes up with the brilliant plan of letting the monster take him so he can get a shot off that can't miss. Suddenly, the thing bursts through the floor, and Bill doesn't even aim his gun, even though he's right on top of the slowly moving creature. Guess he's sticking with the plan. The beast lunges forward and impales his daddy with his claws, lifting him off the floor, then tossing his dead body to the ground. Finally, after some lame off-camera kills, a little patricide is a welcome addition. It turns towards Girl, snarls, knocks away some furniture, and then... well, I'm just going to let this one play out for itself. Now that the fetus has rewombed itself, the police are free to show up and find Girl unconscious on the floor. I guess that means the fleshy door blocks are down? That's when we cut back to the present time with our two doctors who say they don't believe her story even though she's passed 3 lie detector tests. They just leave the mental ward assuming the trauma has caused her to retreat into her own fantasy. We cut to Girl sitting on the floor in a straitjacket while the giggling, barking crazies wander around. 2 orderlies pick her up from the floor and take her to a secluded area for a catatonic sexual assault. One keeps an eye on the door while the other gets to it. Suddenly a tentacle flies out and wraps around the orderly's neck. He turns around and is impaled by a giant claw. Something approaches the other orderly and blood sprays from off camera while the patients laugh like hyenas. And roll the credits. Jesus, what a move. Oh, wait a minute. It's not over? What the fuck was that all about? Well, there you go. The Suckling. A fairly decent guy-in-a-suit movie monster, and the awful actors filling the spaces between its scenes. Honestly, I think the movie's biggest problem concerning the creature was showing it too well lit in almost every scene it appeared in. I think if it was a bit darker, it would have been more effective. I really liked its design, but we just got too good of a look at it. Almost every time it appeared, we could tell it was just a guy in a suit. A surprisingly detailed suit, but a suit nonetheless. And when you show off the special effects limitations, you've shown too much. But I suppose when the full-size monster costume costs 1/5 of the movie's estimated budget, you're going to want to see it as much as possible. Another plus would be the fetus transformation segment. I really liked this part. Sure, it's obviously a silly puppet, but I appreciate the amount of puppeteering done to make this segment work. As with the full-size monster, I think a slight change in the lighting could have made a big difference. Regardless, if the movie had more of this and less of the lackluster actors sitting around belching out their lines and basically padding the runtime, I think this one could have been something special. This is definitely one of those movies whose notoriety greatly outweighs the final product. The fact that our monster is a mutated, aborted fetus definitely gives it enough creative points to warrant a single viewing, if nothing more than for curiosity's sake. Just keep your expectations low, because this one literally begins in the sewer. Well, with that pro-choice parable performed, it's time for me to slink away into the darkened corners once again to bring light to the next putrid product. So until I sleaze my way back onto your devices once more, this is your abominable Bambino Sugar Pants. See you in your dreams.
She's dead for sure.